Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to continue on with my presentation, The Deep State, number 43, which looks at Black supremacy and white replacement in the US and the UK. I mean, the UK is, the history with Black, well, even just with all foreigners, is different from the U.S., of course, because it didn't start. I think this was Pierce Morgan. I looked at that a while ago, but they were almost 100%, like 99% or 99.9% white English or white British after World War II. And it was, I mean, I think even into this, it wasn't until the 70s you started having immigration there. Whereas, of course, in the United States, you had, well, originally it was 1/3. I believe at the Revolution, it was about 1/3. The statistics said African American, those were slaves, that was basically concentrated in the South. Where are my slides on that? I have some statistics. I know I do. Here we are. Yeah, so, you had it mainly here in the South. This was in 1900. And then it was the Great Migration. It was from 1910. Then you had another, let's see, 1910 to 1940. You had one wave. And then 1940 to 1970, you had another wave. So, and the 1/3, like 1/3 of the population reduced to, by the 1900s, it was about 14%, 12, 14% Black African Americans in the country. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you had all of these Black people who left after the Civil War, the United States, and the demographics, because you had all of these other nationalities and races coming in. So you had a huge climb in that. So, in terms of like numbers of people who, or Black communities that might have resettled elsewhere, to my knowledge, there wasn't really a migration of Black Americans out of the United States. There had been a talk of that. I know, like during the Civil War, one of the proposals had been, send them back to Africa. And I guess that also is when, it's like you can't do that. And there's a distinction between, even though the Black African Americans did come after the white Americans who had settled. I mean, your plantations weren't just built with a magic wand. You had, we'll see that later exactly when but the first settlers were, there was an interesting thing that I was seeing around Jamestown, of some settlers that disappeared. And so it was even in the 1500s, you had white settlers and you didn't have the Black slaves coming in until much later. So, if you want to start getting into, well, who was here first and who won the wars, who fought and won the wars, the American Revolution, and even the Civil War. I mean, I don't think there were many Black troops in the Civil War because it wasn't about slavery. I mean, it was about the power between the industrial North and the agrarian South. It's like everything else. Everybody slaps on a noble cause to their wars, and that's how they sell it and justify it. But that's not what it was about. Um, so anyway, we're gonna continue on. And one of the, I keep on saying my problem. I'd always been a liberal amongst very conservative Republicans from Arizona, Louisiana. Um, my father's originally, well, his family, the Wilcox family of the South, because they go back, the Wilcoxes go back to the Massachusetts Bay Colony, Delaware, Rhode Island in the 1600s. And they even have, there's the Thomas Wilcox clergyman, admonitions to Parliament, 1571 in England, and 1666, another Thomas Wilcox, A Choice Drop of Honey of Rock Christ. This also gets into, my situation with Candace Owens and her husband, George Farmer. He was, he studied theology at school, and they're obviously very, very religious and Catholic. And this was the speculation at the end of the last presentation, and that speculation came from Starkey Farmstead, that Candace Owens is a Jesuit, which is, I mean, oh gosh. And I'm not an expert. I mean, I really need to, but I need, cobwebs. Maybe somebody in the British royal family would invite me to London, and then we could do some research on all of these things, because there's a lot of stuff, and just a lot of documents that need to be gone into, original documents, and just a deep dive into all the different religions. I mean, I'm well versed in the secular human rights literature, and the factions and everything going on there, but not all of the different religious stuff. And or at least I am getting into that. So, you would think, like, I've got tons of questions about the Puritan and the Quaker movement. I mean, basically for me, it's, look, the Anglican Church, that was also Henry VIII could get a divorce. And the Anglican Church, it was the pomp and circumstance, and the anti-Christian theologies that gave rise to the Puritan and the Quaker movements. And they came and settled the New World. And that's, it really is the Puritan work ethics that has made this country what it is, and great, and the things that the world have respected us for. All of the aristocracy and the elitism of the British Empire is the residuals of what everybody hates us for. And really it is what we're fighting right now in this country is for its soul, between good and evil, but also between the Puritan worth ethics and egalitarian, and not just our egalitarian relationship with other human beings, but an egalitarian relationship with God. I think this also gets into, Candace Owens, What is a Woman video. I mean, at the end, I'm just like, yeah, this is where we differ. Definitely, like this obedience to your husbands. And this is the same thing with Erica Kirk. And these women are hypocrites, both of them. It's all this branding. I mean, they're getting upset being called goyim, cattle. Well, excuse me, then you go around talking about branding, and it's all, I mean, poor Baron Coleman sitting there trying to figure out what the frick's going on, because Erica Kirk, she's a fashion designer, she's a model, she's a this, she's a that, she went here, she lived in China, you know, She went to China for was it 6 months? I mean, that you can consider living. Um, I mean, it's a short living experience, but definitely, you need more than just a travel visa because, and I don't even know with China, but most of the time with travel visa, it's 3 months, no longer. So anyway, it's like, hi, Baron Coleman. They all say that. Go on to the LinkedIn page of all these social media influencers. And I mean, they all speak all of these different languages. They've all done this. They've all done that. It's all bullshit. It's all, everything's made up. This is with the George Santos when he went to prison for making up all of this shit about himself. And everybody was scandalized. It's like, that's what everybody does. I mean, it's all branding and it's all smokes and mirrors and no meat and potatoes and nothing, no substance behind these ladies. That's why they all, you know, give nude photographs and pornography's all over the place. They sleep with their way to the top. Um, Look at our first lady. Um, so yeah, that's kind of what that gets into the social contract. We'll look into this for a second. Because this is, basically fundamentally, this is what it's all about in terms of where does the legitimacy of a government, any governing body, whether it's the father in a patriarchal system, um, there's what is called in the international um, human rights law is the obligation to protect or responsibility to protect. Both are the same. So you have like if see everybody can go and we're all free. We're all free human beings. We can do whatever we want. We can do our like eat wherever we want, however we want, dress however we want. If we don't want to dress, however, if we live by ourselves. But the second we live within a community of other individuals, then they also have the same right to do whatever they want. So as long as nobody is infringing on the other person's right to, basically kind of do their thing, then it's fine. But what happens? Well, like I don't know. I need to go to the restroom and I'm in the middle of the street. Well, I can't just drop my pants, even though it happens here in Washington. Oh my Lord. Yeah, that's when they call the cops. Um, you just can't do that because it's offensive to everybody. This is against the norms. There's a hygiene problem. Can you imagine if you live in a city and everybody, I mean, listen, go back and read some of the stories about medieval times before you had running water and restrooms and stuff. No, you had the chamber pot in the corner of the room and then it just got thrown out the window. Like, and good luck for those people down on the street. Like, gross. Ugh. Just the thought of it, I'm like, oh, can you imagine the smell that must have permeated? So we should appreciate the, modern conveniences more than we do because we definitely take them for granted. Now, sorry, my throat. Um, so let's, in a moral and political philosophy, the social contract is an idea, theory, or model that usually, although not always, concerns the legitimacy of the authority of the state over the individual. And this came in the Age of Enlightenment. Um, Social contract arguments typically are that individuals have consented, either explicitly or tacitly, to surrender some of their freedoms and submit to the authority of the ruler or the decision of the majority in exchange for protection of their remaining rights or maintenance of the social order. For example, when Trump came in and said, enough is enough. We got girls and we got boys, we got he and she, and, and that's it. You know, he comes in, there's cacophony everywhere. This is creating, you know, problems for the community in many arenas. And he comes in and says, new rule, no more, no more, no more, and sets the standards for the good of the community. It was absolutely out of control. And it is highly, I mean, it's more than just the he, she, it's this whole dysphoria and lack of identity that everybody in this country has. And it's not just in terms of their gender, it's in terms of um so much deeper. I mean, the narcissism epidemic and what I mean, we can blame Reagan, we can blame the Kennedys, we can blame Cornelia Guest, or at least I do often. Um, there are a lot of people who have been responsible. My mother, my siblings, I mean, my sister, oh yeah, this country is like screwed. I'm like, yeah, you're sitting there, for the past 40 years telling me how great everything is. This is part of your little crowd. She's a celebrity chef to the stars in Telluride, Colorado. The restaurant, I mean, this whole stuff, but you'll hear me repeat this one often because it just like boggles my mind. Oh, if you went to a really fancy restaurant and they had human flesh on the menu, wouldn't you at least try it? No, I'd be calling the authorities. I mean, I was just listening to Tucker Carlson, and what was this young man's name? I forget. I sent him a. Um, he was talking about Podesta, John Podesta, and his wife, and like their really sick satanic artwork. And Tucker Carlson was like, I lived in Washington. Like everybody was kind of like, well, it's kind of like douchebag. No, this gets me. I mean, it just the manner in which everybody has normalized stuff, and the laws that they have installed. Everybody keeps on telling me, even this Nicole, we'll see her later on, Nicole King. She's a podcaster in Marbella. She was my neighbor in Madrid. Like, oh, well, we're in the majority, so we make the rules. I'm like, yeah, and we're gonna have another civil war because of it. You, you know, if what you are doing is creating such disaccord in the society, I don't care what color your skin is here, or what your religion is, or what your nationality is, or whatever, but the norms, and this goes into your workplaces, within the political institutions, our schools, wherever. Um, no, you know, just because you're the majority, mob rules. No, we've, oh my Lord, we've been discussing this for hundreds of years. So the relation between natural and legal rights is often a topic of social contract theory. The term takes its name from the social contract. Du contrat social du principe du droit politique. A 1762 book by Jean-Jacques Rousseau that discussed this concept, although the antecedents of social contract theory are found in antiquity and Greek and Stoic philosophy and Roman and canon law. Yeah. The canon law is particularly what has always interested me and what I have been, uh, what I started with like 20 years ago, um, researching in terms of the origins of law and civil codes and penal codes, basically, because those come before the constitutions, but they set down a lot of um, the rules that you're going to find in constitutions, because one of the biggest problems was that, and this I have in my book, but I saw within the English system, looking from the Magna Carta, and that would be the 9th century, starting and the development of your political institutions, the kings and parliament, the feudal system. But you had, like, the Magna Carta, they considered, oh, well, parliament is just for the lords. This has nothing to do with the people, the peons, the plebeians, whatever you want to call them, um, the people who lived in villages. They their justice was within the local courts, and it was really, a power struggle within Parliament was just between the kings and the lords. Getting money. The king wants to go to war, well, and then the lords, they have to get the money, and they have to go and collect taxes and get the money, and the people or whatever the king needs to go to war. So it was never, the rights of the people were never a concern of the king, at least not directly. His concern was just to protect his kingdom and make sure nobody invaded it and the raping and pillaging. But within the kingdom, it really fell to, in the feudal system, it fell to the feudal lords to oversee that justice. I mean, you had to have a certain amount of justice within your lands, the lands that you controlled and the people that you controlled. Otherwise, they would rise up eventually, if you just went around indiscriminately killing people. And, you see this with, oh, what is it? Robin Hood and Camelot and all of those stories. So that's, but unfortunately, and this comes out in the jurisprudence and the case of Gonzalez Linehan versus USA and the Inter-American Commissions on Human Rights. And the American defense was that they did not have control over their courts at the state and local level. I said, well, if you don't have control over the courts, what is your raison d'etre? Or if you don't have control over the government, because even if you don't have control of the courts, you're supposed to have control, oversight of the government, and the legislative and the executive branch of the state is supposed to be overseeing their courts. So there is a chain of command there, and to say that you don't, I'm like, wait a second, this is back to where we were with in the Magna Carta day, and the very beginning of, if you want, whether it goes to canon or civil law. I mean, this is, as I said, this comes back to what I was looking at the very, very beginning 20 years ago. So anyway, that's, this whole social contract is a theme I've been developing, whether it be under penal code, civil code, constitution, or any of the US federal laws, is basically where I've been focusing. Which, I mean, just in terms of man hours and sanity, I've had to focus mainly on the American system, A couple of times there's been spillover into the British system, like in the case of Beth Schlesinger. Her case was Austria. Now that's the Jewish community. So again, what I've been showing within this white replacement that Tucker Carlson complains about particularly, but everybody else, and I went through that the first part of this presentation, um, was that, yeah, the whites are being replaced because, you know, they, ever since for affirmative action in the 70s, you've opened the floodgates, come on in, all of these foreigners, different races. It's been detrimental to the Black community because it's hampered their ability. So let's say for a moment you didn't have all of this immigration, and we just focused on the communities that we already had here, and not like, oh, come on, we have this great country with the greatest schools in the world, and we're going to let you all come to our schools, and then you're going to go back to your home countries, and then you're going to use all of this knowledge to make your countries just as great as our country, and everything's going to be just wonderful. That's 1960s affirmative action under the Kennedy administration. Obviously, it hasn't worked out like that. So let's go back and say, obviously we already had some immigrant populations. You had large Polish, Irish, Italian. I mean, you had the Italian mafia. You did have already quite a large Jewish population. I think, I mean, I'm not positive about this, but I'm pretty sure, concentrated in the northeast, like New York. I mean, there were a lot of Jews in New York. And a lot of them in the diamond. Oh, I love going. I do jewelry and stuff, so I always like, oh, where's the diamond? Where's the jewelry district? But the gym district and stuff. And New York, they have a large diamond trade there. But it's all locked up, and yeah, it's not my cup of tea. I prefer the one in Bogota. I'm dying to go to the one in Tucson, the trade show. But anyway, yeah, I've walked around that area, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like if I was the only guy at GW when I was in school, like, this is really going out of control. Am I a minority here? So anyway, let's say you didn't have all of that. The Black community would have fared much better because they have, of course, they were slaves. So they are coming in from poverty level. And even if you look like within the Black literature, at that time during the migration period and the transition from slavery, because you had several generations, well, they had been born slaves, but then, they hadn't. But those who had been slaves were kind of like lower class, and I'm pretty sure that's because they had come from more violent, and of course you could be sold. Wasn't this a lot of times, generations and generations of families would have their slaves, and it wasn't like everybody was selling off these families whenever they, the opportunity came. No, it would become hardship or whatever. They weren't just doing that, indiscriminately. So, and then also think of it, like 1/3 of the population is in slaves, but that's also 1/3 of the population. So in the South, that's, the slaves, I mean, in many of the areas, they're a majority. And you did have uprisings and, slave owners who were killed. And that also served as, don't treat them too bad because they will uprise. Um, but also this gets into violence against women and how that is maintained. And I mean, the UN report, the literature, all the academic literature demonstrates it is women who maintain that through the socialization of their children and their treatment of their men and the norms that they're instilling in society. And I mean, the women in Washington, the black women, they got their men by the balls like you can't believe. I mean, as I've said many times, one of the only people, group of people who like me in Washington are the poor black men, which is like, wait a second. They're supposed to, like, usually they hate the rich white privileged women. Yeah, because they're all bitches, but the rich white women, privileged women hate me because I'm calling them out and telling them to get out of their freaking shopping malls and running, public debt in this country and turning a blind eye to all the pedophiles that are in our government. And the country's gone to shit while the women go shopping or go and try and get a having it all career. Um, and all these trad wives that are coming in, like Erica Kirk, Candace Owens, Riley Gaines, Isabel Brown. Uh, no, this is not what a trad wife is supposed to be doing. This is, this is a housewife model. And that is not, it's no different than the Stepford Wives, the Valley of the Dolls, the whole 1950 bullshit that the alt-right was pushing. I mean, this is just, they want to go back. I mean, I'm hated because it's like, well, no, you're challenging the feminist and all the progress we've made. I'm like, well, first, you haven't made any progress. You're destroying the world. And yeah, I'm challenging you, but I don't want to go back to Father knows best and this obedience that, Candace Owens and Erica Kirk are promoting in theory. That's the cover and that's what they put in their books. But with Erica Kirk, no, let's just get rid of him and then I take over. I don't know, Candace. I mean, we all know, the men don't know, but all the women know who have been around and who have a brain. We all know how women control men. And that's why so many honeypots have infiltrated the upper echelons of the American society to control our men, our castrated men, who either, like Gary Melton, well, I'll just pull out my guns, beat the shit out of you, rape you, kill you. I mean, Jesse on Fire, he's like always talking how he could beat the shit out of someone. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Any one of you guys, you could beat me up. You're physically, you're stronger than me. We're not going to argue that point. You could kill me with your bare hands. This is what I kept on saying to the assholes in Spain when I said my husband's getting real, real violent and he's threatening to kill me. And he's going to do it if somebody doesn't intervene and tell him to calm down. Does he have a gun? Like, you idiots. We got not first we got knives. I mean, I locked up all the knives. My poor children, you assholes. Oh, it is what it is. Que sera, kill her if you want. She's your wife. She doesn't submit. I mean, He's destroyed our career, his career. We're financially dependent on him. I'm just supposed to sit by and let him destroy our children, our family, our finances, absolutely destroy everything, and go, well, that's okay because he wants to. I mean, this whole idea that you're just supposed to submit whatever he wants. I'm sorry. I like all you Christians. I'm gonna have to read up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get the Bible and stuff to be able to get you to debate you on. But I can tell you right now, I don't think that's ever what God had in mind, or your Jesus Christ. Because you're always Christ is king, Christ is king, Christ is king, and Jesus Christ, and you know, I mean, you pull out your Bible verses, and this is always the problem that I've had with these supposed Christians. Now, I've mainly dealt with Christians in my lifetime. I mean, I know, and it's the same can of worms. I'm sure there are good Christians, just like I have met good Muslims, good Hindus, good Jews, but few and far between. And that's not because of their religion, that's because they're all greedy son of a bitches and bitches. I mean, they've canceled me. That's fine. I mean, it's like I'm weird because I care about my kids, because I care more about honesty, honor, people than I do about material wealth. Well, okay, I'm weird. Fine, I'm weird. Whatever. when we get when you get to the pearly gates, I think you're gonna have some little issues there with who's weird and who's not. But anyway, okay, so gone through the social contract because I know I'm gonna get, oh God, she's a racist, she's a white supremacist. No, in fact, I have been open. I've been looking for um, investment money for my Global Expats project, which needs a social media platform, just like George Farmer's Parlor platform. I mean, he gets money, snap of a hand. He starts this company, that company. They don't seem to be doing too well. They keep on failing. Yet another example, you're giving all of this, throwing all of this money at these young entrepreneurs for what? Nobody seems to be producing anything positive. I'm looking for a measly 100 million, and I'll go anywhere in the world. Um, like as long as I'm like, stop with your tax. All of you guys are, oh, our tax rates, so we can so we can attract foreign investment into our countries. Stop with the freaking tax rates, and clean up your courts, clean up your the way that your people do commerce. A handshake. I mean, I'm like, you don't need a signed contract with me. We'll get one because, of course, you should have one, of course. But the second I give you my word about something, that's better than any contract that any lawyer can put together, because the asshole lawyer who puts it together, and he might fudge on the shit, but I'm not going to fudge on it. And that's what made America great. And these uh, games that everybody is playing, and Candace is playing the same one as Erica, really. Otherwise, she would have responded to me. It's been a year. As I say, I approach all of these people in good faith. And I've got, oh my God, the list of journalists and podcasters and politicians and socialites and princesses I mean, Catherine Oxenberg, she was as much responsible for selling this elitism as Cornelia Guest. Where is she? The crown princess of Greece, Marie Chantal in New York. We're headed towards a communism there. I mean, it's like, come on, you guys, wake up and smell the coffee. So here I have a link to Cobham Hall, the aristocracy there, the international students there. Same can of worms with my alma mater in the United States and Virginia, Foxcroft, the robber barons, and then, well, it's a new headmistress, but it gets into the same parallels of the international students, how this whole globalization, why it's failing. Erica Kirk and Candace Owens, perfect profile of the young, go-getters in the international arena who are directing policy decisions either through nonprofits that they might start, because Candace and George are kind of doing the same type of stuff. They've got companies and stuff. There was something that I wasn't understanding in an interview Charlie Kirk was talking about. So he said that like the first 5 years of TPUSA, he didn't take a salary because when you're starting a company, you want to, invest the money and reinvest the money into the company. And that's true, and like you might not take a salary and you might be living, he was still living, my understanding, with his parents, probably until he moved down to Phoenix, and that would have been for Erica. Um, so, you don't have rent or anything like that. And mostly he's traveling, he's going to hotels, it's all for work. So most of his expenses he can pass through the company, so he's not officially getting a salary. But, and he's legitimately, here are all of my receipts, and this is what I spent. And that's, there's no issue with that. And I didn't take a salary, but I was indirectly receiving an income through that. And it's also legitimately, he wouldn't, you wouldn't be paying income tax on that. So, I mean, I could argue that, that's fine. but it's not a company. It's a charity. So you're not reinvesting. The money that's coming into that charity is donor money and not receipts from sales of goods or services. So it's not a company you're building, it's a charity. And this is, you're being given money either to promote the word of God or, there are restrictions on what exactly you can promote, but let's just say the word of God. But that wasn't originally what he was doing. It was actually about economics. So he's going out there, free trade. Like Charlie Kirk, I should have sat down and let me explain something to you about capitalism and free trade in this country. So anyway, I agreed with him on his principles of free trade, and I think that's actually where he was having a problem with Trump and realizing that this is not free trade. This is protectionism, and that's why it always falls apart and creates these bubble and bust economies. So, he's not, this is not a company. So there's just a lot of questions about what that is all about. Why are you saying that you're building the company? So was there a company involved? I mean, they're selling merch and stuff, but that doesn't make a lot of money. And that really doesn't make a lot of money. You're selling merch, You might be selling some videos and you got your blog cast, but that doesn't make a ton of money. Oh, I mean, we'd have to. How would the blog? Was their blog a company, or was that part of TPUSA? I don't. As I say again, where's this company that he's building? Because again, if you're one of the reasons for a nonprofit is you're not worried. It's not like I have to. You're not producing anything. You're not sitting there producing a bicycle to sell to people so they can utilize, and then you're spreading the word of God, or you're spreading the word of good economics. So you're not actually producing something that you can sell to people because you're going around talking to people for free. And okay, these events, they did charge them, I think, to come in. But let's just say you're going, church for free, like a church is a nonprofit. These guys, the preacher, he's not thinking of how, well, maybe he's thinking in terms of his flock as his business, which I think it's kind of corrupting the whole thing. Because it gets into the corporate. When they get into that mentality of, oh, preachers, think of your flock of people like business widgets, and you need to make more and more. You need more and more and more of them to be successful, and you need a big following to be successful. That's corporate mentality and HR feminist bullshit. And we've all already seen that the feminist the origins, and Candace Owens gets into this. A lot of the origins of the feminists were these witches in the occult. And it has remained there. So that's kind of where we are with the old feudal system, which has not changed. It's just been transformed into a industrial based system. So let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so let's get into George Farmer. So he was born in London, 1990, to Michael Farmer, Jennifer Potts. I cannot find anything on his mother. And, my goodness, sometimes, it's like how we become our mothers. If this was 40 years ago, and I was listening to my mother, I would just roll my eyes and say, who cares what family this person comes from? They're a good person, or they're a bad person, or usually they're a good person. And you want me to tell you about all the bad people I know in those good, respectable families, Mom, you keep on talking to me about? See, this, for me, where have my liberal friends gone? I'm all alone. I used to have some liberal friends that agreed with me. They've all abandoned me. No, now they're just as bad as the conservatives, if not worse, and they're out. Some of them are pedophiles. So anyway, can't find anything about his mother. And then we'll see with the George Farmer's father. I mean, he's a baron. Yeah, he's a first baron. He was born poor. This is another thing. What has Queen Elizabeth done during her reign? It's a mess. It's a freaking mess over there. And King Charles and Prince Andrew. I mean, I didn't even really go into Prince Andrew here. I'm very happy to see, like, there was another photo that came out of it's Prince Andrew. and he's on like on his fours, completely dressed, like leaning over some woman who's lying on the ground, who is completely dressed as well. Now, somebody can come up with some nefarious, you know, thing. It also just could be somebody who trapped Prince Andrew, because Prince Andrew does not like to have his photo taken. I understand that very, very much. And I have great sympathy for the man. I mean, I remember living in Bogota, you know, constant threat of being kidnapped because my husband worked, he was a banker there. So you constantly had to be vigilant, you know, like, don't take my picture, you know, just this whole thing of hounding people and constantly. I mean, I know, whoa, you feel sorry for princes and princesses. Oh, aren't you so wonderful? No. I mean, these people live in a glass, in a fishbowl. Sure, they might have some money, but don't think they have that much money, and don't think that they don't worry about money just like everybody else. They have to go to all of these gala things. They have to, you know, I mean, the pomp and circumstance that these people live in, I'm like, why don't you just stop? It's costing too much money. It's you know, it really is making you disliked amongst your people. And it's also taking away the little power and prestige that you still have in addressing the problems within your country. And you're eventually going to fall if you don't start, you know, happened before to your family, it's going to happen again. So again, Prince Andrew, I mean, I'm like, you got a photo, and the one with him with standing next to Virginia Giuffre with his arm around her, and Ghislaine Maxwell in the background. Lady Hervey, or Harvey, did a whole breakdown in that. She went, you know, forensic analysis, point by point of that photo, and I agree with her that it is, you know, totally photoshopped and not Prince Andrew. His head has been put on there. Um, so the other one, him kneeling over the woman, let's say it's true. First off, the one they've got his eyes, these like satanic eyes, that is total Photoshop. I do some Photoshop stuff like that, but I'm doing it, you know, like, here's my Photoshop. I'm not trying to like pass it off as a real photo. Um, I mean, my collages and stuff like that, I'll stick, you know, the eyes. But obviously, I'm doing Photoshop. I'm not trying to pass it off as real. But also, so what? I mean, I have back problems all the time. One of the things that I do for my back is lie down on the floor like that. And I'll actually then start bringing my knees up, and you know, and I'll even, you know, show people, demonstrate to people who have back problems. I mean, I won't do it in the middle of the street, but I'll demonstrate, like, okay, get on your back like this, do this with your legs, do this, you know, and this will stretch your back out. I feel for people who have back problems because I've suffered from it all my life. And I think a lot of it is just the stress of everybody out there. You know, if you read into it. So, you know, I kind of understand um, all of these people's obsessions with massages. My thing is like, my Lord, you know, I'm not certainly not going to go out and try and get to. No, I want a professional. This is my big beef, even within these spas and stuff. The people that they have giving massages, I'm like, these people have no idea what they're doing. It was when I was an au pair in Paris. It was a girl. She was a student. She was learning French as well, and she was from, I forget, Denmark or a Nordic country, and she was a masseuse, you know, a real masseuse, and she gave me a massage. I mean, she did that to all of us. With someone, lunch we were doing or something, and she did it to everybody. And I was like, oh, somebody who knows what they're doing as opposed to these idiots that they give a book to. I mean, if you'll read Virginia Giuffre's memoirs, she said she was always interested in becoming, doing massages. And I mean, there was legitimately this whole massage stuff going on there. Okay. Did it get into dark areas? Yes, definitely. But this is also where real masseuses should be standing up a little bit more and saying, wait a second, we're a respectable and legitimate profession. And what these people are doing is not acceptable. And there are very respectable people, and and believe me, people who really know how to do a massage, and this can be for athletes who have been, hurt, to just regular people who have regular problems. Um, it's an important service, very important. Um, so anyway, I digress. But so what I'm happy to see, I'm like, okay, is this the worst you got on Prince Andrew? Really? Is this the worst you have? Because if this is the worst you have, take it and stick it. It's if this is what you're really pulling out and you're coming out with all this hoopla and destroy, 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 destroy Prince Andrew, it's a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt against an innocent victim. And I was right on the mark when I called it when the whole thing came out. Here's the, let's see. Because I was like, this guy, look, he was good looking when he was young. And I remember when I was at my English boarding school, how the girls my age, they swooned over Prince Andrew. He did not need to go looking for anything. Are you kidding? He had young women chasing him. And also Virginia Giuffre, when she says that she would have met Prince Andrew, he would have been 40 and she would have been about 17 years old. Because she met Epstein when she was 16. She had been a prostitute, and she had been a street prostitute long before she met Epstein. Epstein was a step up. And the victims have said Virginia Giuffre was, as bad as Ghislaine Maxwell, if not worse, in how she treated the other girls. So this, what's important, what I believe, and I still believe, and I believe it more and more the more we go, and I see with the financial what's going on. Prince Andrew was the special advisor for international trade, something like that. I forget the exact title, but see, that gets into controlling the money flow. And this is where my concern with George Farmer comes in and his father. Because, there is, it's all the industrialists, of course. Any royal who is a threat to them is going to be taken down. And Prince Andrew, if he wasn't a pervert, if he's not a pervert, if he was, then great. They wouldn't have needed to take him down. He would have been welcome to the game. Because he would have been able to, they would have controlled him. They could have blackmailed him. But if he's not, then they got to take him out. See, this is where it's like this reverse psychology going on here, because you got to, you got to think, okay, what are my enemies thinking? What are their, oh, believe me, from day one, I couldn't believe it. After my first demonstration, this is 2009, at the at the Protective Mothers um, demonstration, or it's called Mothers of Lost Children, are the ones who organized the demonstration at the White House. And I went and I said, oh, I just got out of Spain. My kids are in Spain. My case is in Spain, but I just came back here. My family has hung me out to dry. What's going on? And they're all like, welcome to the club. So I'm like, well, can I find out what's happening? And oh, but we have some secret meetings this evening. Like, secret meetings? Okay, fine. Um, but I was like, why are these ladies having secret meetings? Oh, and then I found out about the little backstabbing witchery. And I mean, by the end of the week, I had been labeled a mole. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, a mole? Like, why would I be a mole? For who am I a mole? I mean, I was beside myself. This is the first week. We're going on 20 years. Okay. So there's all sorts of crap going on with these different groups. So anyway, with George Farmer, as I say, so he went to University of Oxford, and while there, he was a member of a Bullingdon Club, which is like one of these it's like a frat house type of thing. What do they call it? The Skull and Bones type of thing, of the Bushes. See, it's an all male dining club, and it's known for its wealthy members, grand banquets, and bad behavior, including vandalism of restaurants and student rooms. The club selects its members not only on the grounds of wealth and willingness to participate, but also by reference to their education. Yeah, so as I say, George Farmer, his father, we'll look at his father real quick, was born in Tunbridge, Kent. Farmer has described how he and his sister had a violent and chaotic early childhood characterized by poverty, neglect, and shame. His father, David S. Farmer, a metals trader, was wounded in World War II and died at the age of 40 due to alcoholism when Farmer was aged 4. So already George's grandfather was a trader, financial trader, and that probably, I don't have when he was born and died, but he would have been around. Well, let's see, wounded in World War II, died at the age of 40. Oh, so he would have been too young for the 29 collapse then. Well, um, so, but it'd be interesting to find out who his father was. See, this I couldn't find out anything really about, as I said again, can't find out anything about George Farmer's mother. Nothing. And his father's side, it's very, very limited. And it just goes back to the grandfather, World War II, and was a currency trader and alcoholic and had his family in poverty. Um, you know, so he and his sister narrowly avoided removal from their mother's care due to her own struggle with alcohol. Farmer was educated. I mean, so you would think this is again rags to riches story. But see how we get to the son, and he's already playing the rich fat boy who, entitled rich frat boy who, who knows? Maybe he married the black girl to upset his mother. Uh, who knows? Let's see. His son ran unsuccessfully for the Brexit Party in 2019. So see, he has political ambitions. Was CEO of a conservative. So yeah, okay. Um, let's see. Michael Farmer is a born-again Christian, having become religious when he was 35 years old, and preaches at the 800-year-old St. Helen's Church, Bishopsgate, in the city of London, around the corner from the London Metal Exchange. He became the Christian deputy chair and trustee of the Council of Christians and Jews. Now, Candace has already spoken that, her father-in-law and she do not agree on the Israel thing. But he is with that, and he sponsors the Ark All Saints Academy in Camberwell, which is a mixed non-selective school for pupils. A second. Okay, let's see. It was going to open a sixth form. It has been described in The Guardian as a school out of control. Michael Gove held up the school as an example of the government's determination to be tough with failing academies. The school had opened in 1955. So Michael Farmer sponsors the school. So yeah, it's not exactly a success story there. So all very well good and to do charitable work, but where what are you accomplishing? What's the outcome? They keep on talking about that outcome. It was created with the goal of improving education for disadvantaged children. Well, let's stop creating society where you have all of these disadvantaged children. Let's create societies where you promote unity of family, where you promote economies that are sustainable and that are inclusive. I mean, they have all of the key words are there. It's just their interpretation. Inclusive of everybody, and doesn't concentrate wealth into the hands of a bunch of wackos and psychopaths and pedophiles. And again, let's see, there's also this trust call, the Cross Trust, that he is on. He's a trustee, but I have no idea who these other trustees are. There's also this Samantha Callahan came up within his network of people as well. This is Michael Farmer, the father. She's an FHN director, the Family Hub Network, because he's involved as well in unification of families. But see, services to victims of domestic abuse with the government agencies, see, this concerns me because this falls under what we're calling child protection services, foster care, all of these different government agencies, and they are involved in trafficking children. So it's concerning to me how the network of Candace's father-in-law, and her husband, are involved in questionable things. Then the parlor, they call it. I'm not understanding why they're calling it parlor, or parlor, was involved in somehow organizing the January 6th attack. So who was involved in that? That's like, what's going on there? This is Candace's husband. Now I know that they have a lot of ties. Candace was supportive of Trump and the whole MAGA movement. And she's all in that the conservative Republican movement that had been supporting Trump. I know that. But so what happened with Parley and the January 6th attack? And then also, Kanye West tried to take over the company. Now, Kanye West is supposed to be really, really good friends with Candace. I talked about this a little bit at the end of the last video. So they're supposed to be real, real good friends. Now, why would he do something like that? Well, because he's a schmuck. I mean, well, that's just, how business is conducted these days in the greater United States. I'm like, yeah, I know. And that's why we keep on having bubble and bust economies. Farmer said the proposed acquisition would create an uncancelable ecosystem, with Parley will remain a place where everyone can think, listen, and speak freely. See, it's all these grandiose ideas, but we will continue to fight against censorship, cancel culture, and authoritarianism. Well, why have I not heard back from Candace or George? Because with all of his religious stuff, I said, well, I've also been, are you interested? I've been looking at the Puritan movement and different things. Never heard back from any of them. Anybody over there? The only thing, I sent them the video because Candace was mispronouncing somebody's name in French, so I sent her a video about how to correctly pronounce it. And that was sent to unlisted, so nobody else is looking at that video. It got I'm almost, I think, up to 200 visits on that thing. I never get that when I'm like, if I get 10 or 20 visits on any of my videos, I'm doing good. I'll tell you, I've really been canceled. So anyway, I'm like, the one video, like the silly, stupid video, is the one that it's only Candace's group that's looked at this. How many feel like this is bizarre? That just is bizarre. So anyway, this is George Farmer's aunt. Her name was Susan. And she was an actress, but she was in horror films. Again, so we have this horror stuff and the movies with horrors and Dracula, and this theme coming up once again, this time within the Candace Owens camp. This was all over the place with Erica Kirk and TPUSA. But now we have the same stuff going on with Candace Owens and, well, her husband's family. Because another strange thing with George Farmer, he has, let's see, they have 3 children. So George, he has 2 siblings that can't even find their names, nothing about them. What is everybody hiding? What's going on there? So Susan was born in 1942. She died in 1970. Um, this, the daughter of David Farmer and Eleanor Ney Best. I'm going to have to try and see if I can't find something through that side of the family. Was born in Maidstone, although the family later moved to Bray, near, let's see, location of Bray Studios. Um, Her brother is the Baron Farmer, the city financier and conservative life peer. Their parents were alcoholics, as her brother related in his maiden speech in the House of Lords in 2014, saying the experienced the poverty, neglect, and shame that are such potent drivers of social exclusion. Um, but so why aren't they doing anything about it? David Farmer's company was liquidated, and he died before his elder child was 7. Susan trained at the Central School of Speech and Drama. She had lead roles in swashbuckling and horror films in the 60s. The first of these was The Blades, The Scarlet Blade, or the Crimson Blade in the US, English Civil War, The Devil Pirate Ship, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, 1966, Rasputin, The Bad Monk, 1966. Let's see, Die Monster Die, 1965. Persecution, 1974. This is a comedy, Doctor in the Clover 6. There was a war drama, 633 Squadron. Danger Man. Well, anyway, her UFO Survival, Man in a Suitcase. Oops. But I know, let's see, for a month in 1978, Farmer was cast member of the Coronation Street. But on stage, she was a founding member of the John Fraser's London Shakespeare group. That would actually be an interesting thing to look into, and what influence they've had in London society. And then she was married to actor Ian Shane. They didn't have any children, but her acting career had ended. So she was married from 65 to 68, not very long. Her acting career ended mid 1980s. She became a recluse, suffered from depression and alcoholism, and died of cancer at 75 in 2017. So, again, one of these great success stories of an actress. I mean, this again, the paradigm they want to sell, the mantra they want to sell of what is great success, doesn't come out to be very successful for these people. They all seem to die alcoholics or end up divorced several times, in Satanist cults. I mean, they're not going well. They're just not going well. So 1965, Ian Shane they married. He married his second wife, Ruth Post, in 68. They had 2 children, Kate and Morgan. In 1977, he began a relationship with another, Sylvia Crystal. In 1980, he married an American actress, Gwen Humble. Uh, I wonder how old she is. Let's just see. Hold on. I'm sure it's got to be at least 20 years his junior. Okay, she's born 53. I'm not sure when he's born. Let's see when he's born. Okay, he's born 42, 53. Okay, only 10 years. At that age, it's really not that much. Okay, bad for me. Immediately assuming that he's going for some young little twit. I mean, she may be some twit. Let's see. I don't really know. Buccaneers, Barnaby Jones, Remington Steele. Okay, I mean, I think she's probably a B-list actress. But I mean, not everybody's going to be. That's fine. I mean, that's another thing with Hollywood. What's like? Does everybody have to be a multi-million-dollar star? Like, can't you just if really that is your passion? And I mean, I'm like, I just don't understand it. I'm like, you have to learn your lines and live as expected enough in life without doing it for a living. Um, Literally. And also the actors, I don't know, it's just a very, very dysfunctional life, not a steady job, whatever. But if that's what you love doing, who cares if you make tons and tons of money? If you make a decent living and provide for your family, yeah, isn't that good? Um, so let's go to Kanye West. Um, her good friend Kanye West. And this is also, there needs to be some more investigation with the Diddy trials. See, this is not just Jeffrey Epstein and all the crap that's coming out, or TPUSA, or the Sasha Riley tapes that we saw with Andy Biggs involved in that, and the Mormons in the Southwest, what's going on there. So, we've got the Jews, we've got the Mormons. Um, and this brings in, my big thing with the Black community in this country is, wait a second, why am I the only one going, what the frick are you people doing with the new Jim Crow? You dismantled that as of yesterday. I haven't gotten any support from the Black people on this issue. And why is that? I mean, it's we have ad nauseum evidence of the damage and how that has damaged the Black community. In fact, it's funny how the mass migration ended in 1970, and then we had the war on drugs that boomed starting there. And that we know was, you know, all of the architects of that have known that it will increase drug consumption and illegal drug production. And it's been purposely done that way. It's been to incarcerate, to produce the new Jim Crow. But the thing is, what pisses me off is how the Black community, they've drunk the Kool-Aid, they pass out the Kool-Aid, and then they complain that, they're being lied to, or they're being manipulated. I'm like, excuse me. Stop always. Everybody wants to say, oh, I'm just the victim. I'm just an innocent victim. I'm just an innocent victim. Now, this is the same ideologies and bullshit that they are promoting within the domestic violence arena and the victims. Play the victim card, play the victim card, play the victim card. Don't stand up for your rights. No, 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 no. Just play the victim card and try and get the sympathy, because we're destroying your rights in the courts. So your only opportunity, and we're going to fuck you over if you don't play by our rules. Now, you sit there and you cry on my shoulder and you cry, and we're going to try and convince everybody that you're a victim. We don't care if you're a victim or not. We don't care. This is all about ops. The courts, it's all about party politicking and manipulating the system and our government by the lawyers and you know the vicious members of society, people who want to come after you with malicious litigation. You know, they want to keep corruption in the courts. Because, I mean, oh God, I remember one guy in Miami told me this back in 89. No, it would have been 90 when I was there. He said, oh, well, I don't care. What did he say? I don't care if somebody stabs me or screws me over. I'll just screw somebody over tomorrow. You know, that is the mentality, and that is anti-American, completely anti-American. But that is the mentality that all of the minorities have been promoting, whether it be the Latinos or the African Americans in the United States, or the Asians, or any of the other groups I've encountered. So let's see. Kanye, he was born in 77, American rapper, music journalist. Oh, okay. Regard him as one of the greatest rappers of all time and one of the most prominent figures in hip hop. I mean, I don't know. I don't like hip hop. I think it's, you know, just another one of these things that they've thrown so much money into. And this is great music because we've got lots of money promoting it. Anyway, he did not for way for rappers who did not conform to traditional gangster conventions. Well, nobody should be promoting gangster conventions in this country. Let's see. He is also known for his controversial public persona, including his polarizing cultural and political commentary. He was born in Atlanta and raised in Chicago. After dropping out of college, he pursued his music career. So, you know, his mother, this is another thing. So let's look at his mom. Hold on. Others, the next one, I think. No, I know I had his mother someplace. Do I just, yeah, Dr. Donda. I just have the link here. Okay, so see his, you know, it's this typical single mother. Why does everybody, I mean, the Black community is recognizing this is not good. The single mother is not good. It's destroying. It's been very, very detrimental to the Black men. But why is it still, oh, she's a single mom. More power to her. Rah, rah, rah. I even saw in some literature in the international development community, oh, there are not enough single moms out there. I was like, what are you people talking about? So she was born in 1949, was an American educator and chair of Chicago State University Department of English, Communications, Media, and Theater. Yeah, so this is, so it's one of these success stories of education that you go, oh my God, what are we doing? So she was born and raised in Oklahoma, the daughter of Lucille Eccles and Portwood Williams Sr., a civil rights activist. Um, let's see. On August 58, she and her father took part in the Cat's Drug Store sit-in in Oklahoma City. So she's, definitely been raised with this victim mentality by her father. Um, but see, she earned her bachelor's degree from Virginia Union University in 71, doctoral degree from Auburn University in 1980. She began a teaching career at Morris Brown College. Okay, so this is a Methodist Black liberal college in Atlanta. Now Kanye is born 77. Yeah. So in Atlanta and began working in Chicago State University in 1980. So right after she has Kanye, she's going to Chicago and she's a working mom. I mean, I hate that word because I'm like, she's not a stay-at-home mom. Who's raising her kid? Then she taught English in China for a year, but it doesn't exactly explain what year. She spent 27 years in Chicago. So anyway, an educated woman. This is not somebody who can say, oh yeah, I didn't make it in life because I wasn't given the opportunities of education and in the labor markets. She had the same, she had all sorts of opportunities. Um, so, yet at the same time, she became a stay-at-home mom, a single mom and divorcee. Okay, when he was 3 years old. So that's when she moved to Chicago. But also, she has a 3-year-old child with this man. Why does she move to Chicago? Why doesn't she stay there near the father of this child so that the father can have, you know, be a part of raising his son? Did she just up and leave? Did Ray West, his Kanye's father, want nothing to do with his son? What happened there? We should be doing everything to promote, unless the father, or it can be the mother as well who is abusing the child, but unless someone is horrifically abusing their child, I and all public policy positions, whatever, whether money or laws or whatever, should be promoting unification of families. And if the parents, they can't live together for whatever reason, it's much better to have children in a situation where parents are not continually fighting. I totally agree with that. However, you want to keep, you don't want a system. This is patriotic bad. Well, no, I'm going to get a job. It's going to make me more money. I'm going to take the kids and I'm going to leave. When you get married, when you have children with somebody else, you give up part of your right to just do whatever you want whenever you want. So, Kanye's West mother was obviously extremely self-centered. His father as well. And there's some very strange things about his father. So his father was a Black Panther. I mean, that is a militant, violent group that was involved some pretty bad stuff. He was a photojournalist for them. Then I don't know. They say he was in a homeless shelter because he wanted to find out about the drug addicts or something like that. I'm not really sure. But so what's really strange? So he became a Christian counselor, opened Good Water Store and Cafe in Lexington Park, Maryland, with startup capital from his son. So I'm not sure how much money Kanye gave his father. That's 2006. Oh, and this is another thing. You know, Kanye's mother, she was not supportive at all of his music. No, you got to go to college. You got to go to college so you can get a good job. You got to go to college, and get out of here with that music. But it when his career took off, she became his manager. Yeah. So Kanye, I mean, just because I come from a highly dysfunctional family. I mean, my poor father was, this is Stockholm syndrome. Um, but either you repeat it or you realize how dysfunctional it is. It seems to me Kanye is just repeating the path of his parents. Let's see. Uh, Again on Kanye, he got A. Kanye says he got A's and B's. So apparently, yeah, Kanye was very, was intelligent as a student, but again, within a dysfunctional educational system that didn't teach him, neither his parents nor the educational system of his community teach him what to do and how to channel his intelligence in a positive manner. So what's interesting, so this Good Water Cafe in Lexington Park, that folded. But see, Lexington Park, it's there's nothing out there. It's like, why would you open a business? You have no clientele. The only clientele that you have is a Navy base. Um, so it's like, and even when, here's the article, I think it is. Yeah. So Water Cafe takes aimed at an untapped market in a strip mall in Lexington Park, Maryland. So this is an hour southeast of Washington. A town whose main road is littered with fast food joints and big box stores, and whose economy is largely dependent on its military base. Business is sluggish so far. The cafe just finalized its menu last week. Okay. A water bar. Oh, a water cafe. It just finalized its menu last week. If you're not sure what a water cafe is, you're not alone. When they went to go and get the paperwork, the county health department said, "What the heck is a water store?" Yeah, that should have, rang some warning bells. So anyway, it did close up. Well, it says it has a wide selection of teas, bubble tea wraps, salads, yogurt, smoothies, and coffee, all made with premium distilled water. I think we should just concentrate on producing good water coming from our taps for everybody in the country rather than starting these type of businesses that definitely look like a front for something else. Um, I, you know, I can find, let's just say, okay, let's go on. Um, so the Maryland one went bust. Not sure what happened, but it is no longer there. And he moved to the Dominican Republic. Now, we've got a huge sex trafficking and human trafficking stuff going on there. Um, Now, his Good Water Foundation, there's no, what did I think, did AI? Yeah, so I, did a AI. Can you tell me, because I'm not finding anything about these foundations. I'm not finding any legal structure for this. So, so here in Maryland, this was a company. Okay, fine. I'm not going to find any kind of, um, tax returns on a nonprofit there. But in the Dominican Republic, apparently it's a nonprofit that he's doing this stuff. Um, so what are the top charities? What are the charities in the Dominican Republic? So you've got this Blue Mission, that are dealing with water purification type of stuff. Blue Mission connects families to clean water, wine to water. That sounds kind of. The group operates a local office in the DR and uses a ceramic water filter model, collaborating with local master ceramics to create sustainable, environmentally friendly filtration systems. Okay, that does sound legit. Because yeah, in antiquity, a lot of purification of water was just done through like your purification, drip it through stones. Um, so Living Water International, Water at Work Ministry, the Wash Foundation, Project Mañana, the Dominican Foundation, Water Charity. I found, I put them in there because I'm like, I'm sure some of these things, we really need to start looking into who has legitimate nonprofits, who doesn't have legitimate nonprofits, what are these things doing? I mean, my Global Expats project started 20 years ago. I didn't realize the enormity of the problem. I mean, that's why God sent me down this path, because I didn't realize. Um, okay. While there isn't a single Good Water Foundation widely known for DR operations, there are several similarly named focus boutiques. Organization doing vital work, Good Justice, Good Water Program. So again, Surge for Water, Mercer on Mission, um, World Water Relief, Safe Water for DR, World Water Relief. So again, they might be, and if they are legitimate nonprofits, more power to you. I'm all behind you. And usually this small, it's going to be small scale. Once you get into big scale nonprofits, it just it just breeds corruption and greed. When they're in this, little bit of money here, a little bit of money there, because we need some material here. But this is mainly local people working with other local people together, in their free time. Nobody's on the clock. Let's get out in the community, and we just need some material because nobody has money to bring the rakes that we need, or this for the shovels that we need, whatever material you need. That kind of charity, nonprofit, more power to you. I'm all behind you, because those are the type of community activities that are positive for your community. but all of this other stuff needs to go. Um, so here, there's no public record of Goodwater Foundation being a registered 501c3 or nonprofit in the US or any other, just this is what it says, in the US or in the Dominican Republic. So he says he has this organization, but there's no legal entity. That's a problem. Right then and there. I'm sorry. Whenever there's no legal entity, you really need to have a legal structure. I, for example, don't have a legal structure, but I'm just by myself. So if anybody has any questions about anything that I've been doing, and no, if anybody was called me tomorrow and said, "Oh, can I donate some money to you?" Oh, no problem. I'll get a nonprofit started and you all can donate some money to me. But if nobody's going to donate any money to me, why am I going to take my time to start a nonprofit? You see where I'm going with that? So, you know, you have to have some sort of, you're doing some sort of activity, unless you're just doing it yourself in your name, yourself with your money, and you can do anything you want and you explain what you're doing to people. You have to have a legal, some sort of nonprofit structure or legal structure if you are receiving any sort of money. I'm sorry. He says, this says is he's financing it himself. Where is the money that he is getting coming from? Well, you might say, oh, his son is giving it to him. Well, how much is his son giving him? Fine. His son is just handing over. But then why wouldn't they have it set up as a nonprofit? Because then his son can get tax deduction from the money that he is donating to his father's nonprofit. Otherwise, he can't get a tax deduction on that. So it would make no sense that it would be coming from his son. So where is the income coming from? If he is self-financing his supposed nonprofit in the Dominican Republic, where's the money coming from? So this nonprofit supports victims of prostitution. He operates a mission that provides direct assistance to women who have been victims of the sex trade. This includes offering emotional support and alternatives to their current circumstances. What are those alternatives? Healthcare for women. A significant portion of the revenue generated from his water sales is directed towards funding medical treatments and essential healthcare services for local women who otherwise lack access to such care. Goodwater Foundation, under this name, West continues the mission he started in Maryland by selling purified water to the local community. So the initiative serves a dual purpose, providing the public with safe, clean drinking water and generating self-sustaining funds for his other charitable efforts. This smells like human trafficking to me. In my opinion, if all of you podcasters are so afraid of being sued, I'm like, let your hair down a little bit. Nobody's come after me yet. I guess that's also because I don't have any money. And also, they don't want to call any attention to me because they want me to disappear. Because I'm not a stupid bimbo. And, you know, I'm like, no, wait a second. Everybody else is, I'm good. Like Megyn Kelly. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Tyler Robinson did it. Tyler Robinson did it. Next. Who else got killed this week? Can we bring in the next victims? God, Megyn Kelly is a piece of work. Anna Kasparian is also getting on my nerves. God, these entitled little prima donnas who are, journalists, the champions of freedom of speech and all that bullshit. I mean, oh Lord, I can't wait to see these people in court because everybody really, was it Lord Hee Haw, Axis Sally, Tokyo Rose? Yeah, we got some jurisprudences that is going to be real bad for all of these podcasters who, and it's not just the podcast, but believe me, I mean, you podcasters, you're just following the lead of the journalists that you say that you're cleaning up the bullshit they've been promoting, but you're just doing the same thing. So, okay. Okay, so then, AI, it's popping up this stuff, and then it says, well, wait a second, there's another nonprofit that Ray West has been involved in. And I'm like, wait a second, what? So I'm going in, this is the Republic of Moldova. Okay, so then boom, 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 I'm going in. Now, wait a second, what year is this? Where is this? How is he doing this as well? Okay, so it's not Kanye's father. This is another Ray West completely. See, this is why you always have to check because somebody might, I mean, this could come from AI or this could have come from somebody else or, oh, a Ray West, he's involved. Really, this is, we all make this mistake. I've made the mistake of, well, wait a second, no, it's two different people, and I thought it was the same. However, this is yet another one of those nonprofits that you're going, what's going on here? Is anybody looking at this stuff? Oh, no, 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 no. They're too busy advancing their careers and having it all. The women, much as the men. So it started in 1988. It was his work, this guy, during his time as a project manager for the U.S. European Command, where he was tasked with overseeing humanitarian assistance. So this is some guy who's been in the American military. I mean, I don't know all of the branches. I mean, what was it? Nate of Valhalla was going off about well, thank God it was the SEALs and not the Green Berets. The Green Berets were good. The SEALs are bad. I mean, I'm like, wow, you're getting, I can tell you about the little tea parties going on and all of the little ladies within those groups and stuff. But when you get into the Green Berets and the SEALs and stuff, that's not my domain. I'll leave that for Valhalla. Okay, so due to his extensive commitment, including 50 trips to the country. Okay, is that commitment because he's got lots of little girlfriends he wants to traffic, or I don't know. Okay, West has been named a hero of Moldova and recognized by multiple U.S. ambassadors for his impact on the nation's most vulnerable children. Oh, I hear something like this and I'm like, government's involved, military's involved. They are trafficking children. I don't need more evidence than this. These people should not be involved. But the frick military is it? Y'all, I mean, the evidence is out there and they are doing it in plain sight. Would you like to see financial reports or donor information for the, this is AI asking me the question, for the Moldova World Children's Fund to understand how they leverage their resources? Oh, you bet I would. I said, yes. Yes, AI. So, key institution donors. Once again, this is not Kanye West's father, Ray West. This is another Ray West. Contributions often come from North Carolina medical centers, state agencies, universities, and civic organizations like Rotary International. Now, Rotary International, I didn't Google that, but Rotary International does ding, ding, ding. Yeah, there somebody that needs to be looked. All of the nonprofits. Marjorie Taylor Greene, months ago, before she said, "Screw you, Congress, I'm out of here," she had a hearing on the nonprofits, and I said, "Yeah, go after them all. We need an investigation. We need a Doge on everybody, everybody." Elon Musk was just the tip of the iceberg. See why I'm sitting barely able to keep a roof over my head and minimum wage jobs? It's not because I'm incompetent, because everybody keeps on firing me and trying to shut me up because they don't want this coming out. Okay, so then also foundation support. So those are donors. Foundation report also comes from the Winston-Salem Foundation and Mary E. Peters and Robert Paulchow Foundation. This is, I don't know who these people are, but they're New Orleans. And I can't find, I think these two might be deceased. And it's their, like, a son and daughter who's administering this or some, but I'm like, are you guys, are the people who are giving the money to these nonprofits actually looking at what's being done, what's being accomplished? Or are you just writing a check? I know you're just writing a check because that's one of the reasons I came up with the idea for Global Expats. So global partners. Aid frequently originates or is coordinated through partners in Italy, Switzerland, Belgium, and Germany, including groups like, oh, I think this must be Operate, not sure, Operate Life and AOCICD Phoenix. See what's that all about. And then here you've got the financials here, which it is not, hold on. 2024, their expenses were about almost $500,000. So I mean, that's not. So see Ray F. West Jr., Albert S. Gooch Jr., James R. Olson. Wait a second, James R. Olson. Where is this? I'm just looking. Here's another, this Olson. Douglas James Olson. James R. Olson. Is there any connection? Or just a coincidence? No, I mean, you know, Olson. I mean, it's not, it is a common enough name that particularly this is, where are they domiciled? Okay, they're North Carolina. So, you know, definitely could have nothing to do with each other. But see, this is where you start going, wait a second. And sometimes it will. But, you know, who are all of these people and what exactly does this fund do? Here, 2023, Revenues over a half mil. 2022, almost 1.4 million. 2021, almost 2 million, 1.8 million. 2020, almost a million. So here, 2019, 360. 2018 for, let's see when they started, if it goes back to the beginning. Okay. Well, apparently they've had filings. So apparently they started in 2005. So exactly how much they had in 2011, it was 104. So what's been going on? What is that whole thing about? Moldova World Children's Fund. Let's just Google them for a second. Again, I repeat, this is not Kanye West's father, Ray West. This is another Ray West. So, board of directors, probably the same. Most of it, see, here's Moldova. Oh, this is near Ukraine, see? Management is led by its founding president and 15 other non-paid volunteers. See, this is also a good way. You get all of these interns, these young kids coming out of college. A lot of times, you know, this was, what are what was that? Like UNESCO, you would, I remember back in the 60s or 70s, you know, join up. You're not going to make any money, but you're going to get to go and work in these different charities and things like that. And they would get a lot of cheap, and it would put something on your resume. And I was never like against it. I think Bobby Kennedy did things like that. I wasn't really against it because, you know, you're going to go and sleep in a tent. You know, you're going to see how the poor live. But it all became kind of like a fashionable holiday for kids getting out of college. So anyway, let's see. Dedicated to helping the less fortunate. You know, going on, when did we say this? 2005? It's like, why don't you guys use your money and your energy to stop creating wars in this area? So see, we've got lots and lots of children there. Here we've got, as you can see, this is not the same Ray West. Albert S. Gooch Jr., graduate of Mississippi. This Elaine Marshall. She has served as president of the National Association of Secretaries of State, and served numerous state and national award for leadership. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. John H. Boyd Jr., 31 years in banking, serving in operations, retail mortgage and commercial lending, University of South Carolina, military duty, banking, bank again. Yeah. Although I don't, First Citizen Bank, I mean, at least it's not Citicorp or Goldman Sachs. that sends more than just warning bells. That, as I say, is a fire alarm. Bam bong, bam bong, bam bong. Not just ding ding ding. Okay, Stevens, let's see. Faith F. Baker. Faith has also been on the board of the Florida Symphony and Canterbury Schools in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm sure she has. She is active in church and yeah, Episcopalian. So once again, all of these nonprofits really need to be looked into. What are they doing? What have they been doing? How are they financed? Who are the people on the board of these things? And you know, oh, this guy's Wharton. Wharton, that's where Trump went to school. I can promise you, Wharton School of Business is as problematic as the Skull and Bones and Harvard Business School. Different flavoring. As I say, it's all ice cream. We just got different flavor in here. Okay. Hasif Shadri, again. Okay, income, salaries, benefits, 2%, contribution to program, 95%. Okay, so what are their programs? Purple. Construction, renovation, hospitals. Let's see. Basic projects and services. Well, I don't know what they are. Project sites. And I mean, this doesn't mean that they had anything to do with, I don't, you know, like, okay, you got a map there with a bunch of dots on it. Um, Computer material for educational. I mean, this is all, as I say, this sounds good on paper, but you know, is this it? They're giving textbooks in 4 areas: constructing and renovating buildings and infrastructure, enabling urgent surgeries and critical medical care for desperate individuals. Um, yeah, if they were doing all of this, okay, all well and good. I just have my doubts given who is involved, the government agencies, um, and given the way things are going and that they've been working for all of these years. Would you stop with your freaking wars? And then you wouldn't need all of this charity work. So again, we're going to go back to, so again, this is not the Ray West who is Kanye's father, but this was a nonprofit that I came across of another Ray West that you go, what's going on here? So this, oh my Lord, even in the comments, you got to listen to this. In the comments of the 911 call, this is Kanye's West mother who is going into cardiac arrest. A person is dying. A person is dying. Okay. Yeah. We'll leave it there. I mean, there was, some comments. That dispatcher has the patience of a saint. That was making me absolutely crazy listening to that call. Me too. She had no chance with these two helping her. I mean, what's going on in this country? Oh, this woman's got a PhD. The people around her, I mean, you're like, I mean, as I say, that dispatcher had the patience of a saint. I mean, okay, they go through training and stuff. I mean, I would want to start screaming at the woman, bitch, she's gonna die. You want to listen to me? She's gonna die if you don't. I mean, she's got a good possibility of dying anyway, but the little chance that she has of survival, I mean, you would get into criminal negligence on the part of those people. And that she died from a botched plastic surgery. I mean, this whole thing about, oh, just give them PhDs, MBAs, college degrees, and we're going to solve the world's problems. No, it's not working out. Um, so this, I'm going to leave these. You can listen to these, but this gives some insight into Kanye West, and his upbringing and his mother, and just, I mean, this is not a paradigm or a role model that in any way, shape, or form anybody should be promoting. I don't care what the color of your skin is. And I've been, as I say, the Kanye West, his father Ray, he was a Black Panther, and the Black Panther. Actually, let's switch this before I get into the Black Panther. I want to get into the National Association of Advancement of Colored People. That was started in 1909. Now, my grandfather, so everybody can see I'm not lying. Okay, and you can go into my ancestry. Why are you not doing that? The trees, look in them. If you want to contribute, that's fine. If you want to donate some money, that would be great. Okay, so this is from the founding father, John Dickinson. And in there, here, Curtis Parker, he's in there. So this is Curtis Parker. It's To Kill a Mockingbird, because this is in Alabama. It's right near Harper Lee grew up. And see, this is my father. And there I am. So as you can see, anybody wants to verify it, you can go through, and it's all there. As I say, this one goes all the way back. Well, actually, see, I spoke about, oh, let's see, what is that? It should be in here. Samuel, I think it is. Judge, yeah. Oh, no, but it's 10,000 something. Okay, now have to go back. That was 10,065 or something. And that's the Judge Dickinson that I'm interested in, because that's at the time of the Magna Carta. Anyway, side note. So let's go back. So my grandfather, he defended a Black man in 1910. This is Butler, Alabama, as I say, near where Harper Lee grew up. And, but, so what happened was Congressman Taylor of Alabama was so impressed with his defense of his client that he brought him up to Washington, and he worked in intelligence work, became a spy for the American government. But then he became involved in subversive work, and he left, and he ended up, then he married my grandmother, and they went to Jacksonville, Florida, where my uncle and my father were born and grew up. But what I always wondered was, so this is about the same time, this is 1909, and you had Booker T. Washington and Du Bois, sorry, who were the founders of that. But what I wondered was, if somebody had taken an interest, well, how did you defend this guy? What did you say? What happened? I'm trying to get the court documents, even from the Wilcox Society in Alabama, but all they want to do are have parties like everybody else. Um, you know, like, why don't you come on board and like we'll see how we're going to defend and advance African American rights with you. I mean, as I say, I still haven't seen the documents. I don't know what the argumentation. I don't know what the case was. It was about murder. I know that much, but nothing more. So anyway, and I can't get anybody to help me get the documents. But as I say, I wonder if instead of going down the road, because what this organization has become, along with the Black Panthers, it really has brought the African American community in the United States into this conflictual situation with the white communities. And, I mean, I've been looking at things from the lens of the feminists, of the women. So I know that there's competition and there's aggression between the blacks and the white men communities, but my focus has always been the women. So that's where I'm talking about, because that's where my information, that's my specialty, if you will. So yeah, it's the viciousness and this, because with the black women, we're not only dealing with black supremacy, I'm dealing with feminist supremacy. And that, I mean, I think is worse. Because I don't know if the black, see, the thing is and this is what I keep on trying to explain to everybody, is their allies. So, and this we can see particularly like my case against the Institute for Capacity Development at the IMF, and then the different regulatory people. Well, you had the ethics advisor, Olivia Graham. She was African American. She passed away. Unfortunately, I can't get her into court. Geeta Ravindra, she's Indian, family court. Ooh, I can't wait. Mediator. I can't wait to see that lady in court. Oh, when I saw mediator of family courts, I was like, lady, your goose is cooked. And then when she said to me in my interview with her, after she had supposedly read my 150-page report on bullying in the IMF, she told me, Christine Lagarde's never going to find out about this. And I just sat there thinking, oh, little lady, the day she finds out about this, your goose is so cooked, it's not even funny. I mean, they really, not only, in order to stick it and over stupidity, over a stupid, backstabbing witchery between office manager, administrative people and HR people and stuff, you are going to lay your ass and everybody's ass on the line. I mean, I just sometimes it boggles my mind, but then I know people just really they have. I have explained ad nauseum to these people. Every time I go into a meeting, I'm like, okay, here's the deal. I'm working on family court reform. We can't get anywhere at the national levels, so I'm headed to the international levels under international human rights conventions. These are crimes against humanity. I mean, you know, the only, I mean, like, you cannot be, this is one of the things what I agree with my mom, and where education, teaching young ladies to be young ladies, come in, because I'm not, I know when I am being politely threatened. I don't need somebody to come in my face and scream at me and tell me, you little mother effer, if you don't do exactly what I am telling you to do, you are going to end up boiled. I'm tarred and feathered, and I mean, it just like veiled threats just go completely over the heads of these people. And I mean, as I say, in polite society, you don't say to somebody, um, like, I don't know how to say it might be, instead of, you're some stupid criminal, you would say, well, that does sound quite illegal to me. Hmm. The message is the same. It's just your delivery is different. One can get you punched out. The second one might get somebody looking at you pretty bad, and you might get on somebody's hit list if they go around murdering people. Um, but that's how you say things in polite society. And that's what's called, a little bit of decorum or so. So anyway, this again gets into white trash, and Nancy Eisenberg, who says it's, the race wars in the United States are not about race, it's about class, which Americans have interpret to mean the accumulation of wealth and privilege, when that is not what class is about. Class is about how you treat people, how you behave, and not only the values and morals that you espouse and you expect of others in your community, but those that you live by yourself. I mean, if you're not doing what you preach, you can't exactly criticize other people for not living up to these, particularly, I mean, the Christians, as I say, all the religions do it. Yeah, all of your religions have these, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Be good and don't, God, and you go around citing. You can recite the Bible, but in your daily lives, you'll be damned if you implement one single, principle in the way that you treat people. That's the problem I always had with religion, and I'm having the same goddamn problem with all the secular people in the human rights community. It's no different. They're even worse, I would say. At least, you know, I don't know, and I guess maybe that's where God has to exist, because uh, then where else would the morality come from? I mean, anyway, I'm sorry. I digress on that. But as I say, it really takes a great effort to have some Christian and good thoughts about the conservative right that I've been examining for the past 6 months, whether it be Erica Kirk, um, Riley Gaines, Isabel Brown, Candace Owens, and I support. I'm very supportive. Yes, Candace Owens, I'm really glad that you're um, looking into the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I totally support that. However, there are a lot of other questions. That doesn't mean I support everything that you're doing. Just as with Charlie Kirk, I mean, I'm so thankful that he was speaking out against these crazy feminists, and that's exactly all of these. This is where my beef with Candace Owens is. Why isn't she communicating with me and looking at, and discussing, okay, what did my research show in terms of women's rights? This gets into, Phyllis Schlafly. Why am I getting no assistance from Ed Martin, who's head of the Eagle Forum, the Phyllis Schlafly group, her children? Because now you've got the Eagle Forum and the Schlafly Eagles or something. Anyway, the Ed Martin people and Phyllis Schlafly's children's group. Neither one of them, both are ignoring me. And this also gets into the what was that legislation? I forget. It's about the immigrants, the violent immigrants. I mean, just ignore her. Ignore her. Like, I know there's been like somebody stuck like in high school, somebody stuck a note on my back that says, "Don't speak to her. We don't like her. She's not part of our little group." I know I got that stuck on my back a long time ago. But like, can we get over this high school bullshit, please? I mean, if you sit down and talk to me, you'll find like I'm not a Nick Fuentes. Well, sometimes maybe. Um, you know, yeah, and there are things that I'll agree with Nick Fuentes with, and Andrew Tate, and probably just about everybody out there, no matter how extreme they are. Um, but everything that I have is based on facts and evidence and the research of other people. Then there's also my explanations. What Why have I had such problems with the academic community? This starts with Joan Meyer here at GW. Um, DV Leap, domestic violence, legal empowerment, whatever. I could hours speak about what they've been doing for years and years, but that gets into GW. All of these different, all of the different domestic violence organizations, they're just money making cesspools for a bunch of feminists. And, this all needs to be cleaned up. But if you're going to clean something up, you have to have somebody come in and say, okay, so what do we need to clean up first? Okay, well, let's start in the living room, for example. And we're going to start with the sofa over there, and then we're going to, and then we'll get, when we're cleaning out that we can. Do you understand? I mean, that's really where women come in, and if women would start working together and stop with the supremacy and I'm going to show you and I want reparations for past aggressions and I want to be in the center of attention and I want all the money for me, and I want my book published, and I want, and I want, and I want. I mean, Megyn Kelly loves to play that one, as Maureen Callahan does. But these little ladies, oh my God, first to look in the mirror. I mean, instead of putting a camera in front of them, you should stick a mirror in front of them. So, again, Ray West, Kanye's father, was part of the Black Panthers, which, they just like all these other organizations. At the end of the day, it was just a bunch of pissed off people who wanted to get violent. And that's why really very little ever gets accomplished with these organizations except destructive behavior. So anyway, there's some information on, most people have heard of that. So I did, go into a bit, and this sets it up for the next part of this whole presentation on white replacement and Black supremacy with Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens as a case study. Because with the migration, you had basically, well, here it says they moved to the largest city: New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Detroit, Cleveland, Washington, D.C. So what I'm going to really concentrate on is Washington, D.C. That's because I'm here, and that's where the cases are, and as it pertains to the federal government and pretty much the local government, because I always say, well, the thing is, the local government here has kind of made an agreement with the federal government. If we don't say anything about what you're doing in our jurisdiction, we won't say anything about what you're doing. You don't say anything about our crimes, we won't say anything about yours. So yeah, it's the fox guarding the hen house. So Candace comes from New York. One of the issues with New York is, and taking it as a case study of a Black community coming to one of these urban centers, is that New York did have a lot of different other immigrant populations. DC is a pretty good case study because it really was predominantly white. You did have some Black communities, but they were mainly, from the plantations around here. And then, of course, DC really was not, DC was a hardship post. Nobody wanted to come to DC. So, and it was in the middle of Maryland and Virginia, which were slave states. So you did have, I'm in the White House at the beginning, pretty sure definitely under George Washington, but the White House wouldn't have been built by that time. So anyway, Chicago is another example, just in terms of, when I've been looking at names of politicians, of course, the Obamas come up, but in terms of lots of politicians, I'm coming across names and names and names lately. This might be, I was going to say the conservatives, but no, this would be conservatives and liberals that have come from Chicago. So Chicago, again, that was pretty much white bread, because the immigrants that you had in Chicago, that was a lot of Poles, Eastern European, Mid and Eastern European people that had immigrated there. So And like San Francisco, you had a lot of Asian population. Los Angeles, you had the Latino population from, it was Eva Longoria who pointed that out. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. She was like, my family didn't cross the border crossed my family. And that's true with, Texas, Arizona, the Southwest, and up into California. Because those families were there before it was sold to the United States. Now that does not absolve them and say, oh, okay, you can do anything you want. But it's just in terms of a case study on what effect the Black community has had in terms of, minimizing your variables, and the variables that are going to affect that change. Washington, D.C. is a good case study, and then kind of comes Chicago. And the outcome is not very good, really. So, and my point with the African American community, as with all of the communities, everybody put down your victim cards. Really, that's got to stop. Because, everybody in this country is just so entitled. We need to bring back JFK, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. I mean, that's where we're at, really. All of this prima donna and me and me and me and me. And I keep on pointing out to all of the African American community reclaiming reparations for slavery. Y'all's goose is cooked. You really better stop talking about that. Because with all the slavery that we've been having going on under your watch, and semi-slavery, and for example, under the new Jim Crow, the disenfranchisement of poor Black urban men, that has been targeted. I applaud Candace Owens going after the Black Lives Matter and calling out the Black Lives Matter nonprofit. But I mean, I remember when the whole thing, oh God, I was like, you guys, everybody's doing that. RFK Human Rights. You see what Kerry Kennedy's been doing that with the LGBT stuff? I mean, and what they pulled with Bobby Kennedy, pure jealousy. Oh, since they're not going to go to the White House and be in the White House, well, they'll be damned if their brother's going to do it, and the country can go to hell. That's the attitude throughout the Republican Party, well, the Democratic Party as much as the Republican Party. That's everybody's attitude. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody in this city gives a shit. They're just here for the money, for the ride, and for the parties. And the world be damned. So, the Great Migration, this has not been positive for the South, nor positive for the North. And this country needs to get its shit together, and everybody has to stop saying it's everybody else's fault and poor me and poor me. And, it's because I've been unfairly treated and and I'm so great when you're doing nothing but creating messes. I mean, I'm sorry, when I'm starting looking at George Farmer, no. I mean, he's a successful businessman. I mean, I've been trying, I can't even get $100 million to start my global expats projects because all of the money are going to kids like this. No, we just have to empower our young, empower our youth, empower our youth. Your youth are a bunch of entitled frat boys who just want to sit around and have somebody tell them how great they are. I mean, I'm sure Candace is charming and Candace is very, very pretty. You know, just like Megyn Kelly, just like many, many, many young women out there, just like Erica Kirk, and just like many, but ladies, forget the gentlemen for the moment. We can't call them gentlemen, but ladies, if you really want to, liberated, if you really want to be liberated, first, you better have a little respect for yourselves. And in order to do that, you need to stop stabbing each other in the back, trying to be, in the center stage, in the limelight. I mean, one of the things that absolutely disgusted me with Megyn Kelly, and I said something about it, it was about the Bridget Macron stuff, and Megyn Kelly going, this typical denigrating bullshit. Everybody pulls it on me, and I'm like, you know what? Take it and shove it. Okay, Megyn Kelly is closer to my age, and maybe she can say, well, I'm not some little twit. And I'm like, yeah, so what's your excuse? Um, but sorry, my throat. But Megyn Kelly, it was about the Macron stuff, and Megyn Kelly was like, I don't have time to look at Candace Owens' documentary on Bridget Macron. Oh, what the frick are you people doing? This is also, none of them are looking at any of the presentations that I'm doing. I'm like, no, you guys just, let me Google the headlines, get some talking points. What are the different people saying? And I'll repeat what everybody else is repeating. That's not journalism. That's gossip. You don't even verify if anything is true of what people are saying. You just repeat it. But it was just so disrespectful of Candace. I was like, come on, Megyn Kelly, who the frick do you think you are? I mean, I know the answer to that. I know Megyn thinks that she is queen of the queens of the podcast. She may not be mother of the internet, but she's queen of the queens. So anyway, just so silly and so disrespectful, because I'm like, yeah, there's something going on here. When people are covering stuff up, if people don't have anything to hide, then they're not going to hide it. But if they start covering everything up, I mean, when this whole, oh my God, when the whole thing started with my battle with the courts, um, I told everybody, I said, oh my God, you want to come after me? I've got nothing to hide. Everybody I know has so much to hide. It's not even funny. But I've led such a boring life. I'm like, I want no part of it. I want no part of it. I want no part of it. I'm sure many people in Bogota thought I was a stupid little bimbo mom because I was more than happy I got on the board of Bogota K because I organized the children's activity group. And I was more than happy to be sitting around and instead of the meetings with these little backstabbing witches, to be with the kids and doing manual arts. Call me a simpleton. I'm good. Yeah, it wasn't because I was a simpleton that I wouldn't want to be involved with everything that I've seen in my lifetime. No, I didn't want to be involved with any criminals and evil people. I mean, Tucker Carlson was going on. He's like, oh my God, you know, what was it, Planet Pizza, or where they had the pizza outlet for the kids. Um, And he's like, oh my God, that was near my house. I didn't know that was going on. I didn't know that was going on. I was like, yeah, well, Tucker Carlson and everybody hadn't canceled me for the past 20 years. And I hadn't been a persona non grata invite to all of your little parties, whether it be the conservatives or the liberals. I know how to behave myself. If that's one thing I learned, this was something that I could never understand with the the problem kids, the rebels at Foxcroft or any of the prep schools. I was kind of like, God, are you guys trying? What is it? You're just trying to get expelled from school, or like, there's no like, you just rebel to rebel. There's no reason for it. You just rebel to rebel and bitch. At least if I rebel, it's for a good reason. Um, I mean, sometimes, as I say, it was like with the bars back in the when we were in our teens. I was like, hell, once it was legal to get into bars, it was no longer fun. The fun part was getting in because it was illegal. I mean, of course, we'd get a drink or something, but it wasn't the drinking. It's illegal to do it. I mean, it wasn't like big time illegal. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things. It's like not breaking and entering illegal. That's big time illegal for me. I'm not gonna get it. But getting into a bar when I'm underage, oh, that was fun. You know, oh, one of my favorite stories. This is Carolyn Joint. This is another. I'm like, yeah, that's like kid stuff illegal. You're not going to advocate it. But they lived right next to Mount Vernon. Um, and so, like, after hours when it was closed or something, and then at nighttime, they jump over the the railing and go and run around. I'm like, oh, that's one of the things that I probably would have been involved in if I had been around. As I say, they didn't steal anything. They didn't vandalize anything. They just were like, let's jump. I mean, vandalizing, that's another thing. You're not going to advocate it for it, but and you're certainly not going to just be like, no, that's okay. Um, but it's not, as I say, there's bad and then there's bad. I'm like, you guys, and I never went into Mount Vernon illegally, just so you know. But yeah, if that's the worst thing that you guys are going to come after me on is that I used to get into bars before I was legally allowed to. Yeah, okay. Yeah, run with that one. Run with that one. Um, so I mean, this is why when my ex-husband, sorry, I'm going on here and I need to finish. When my ex-husband, in our court records, it says that I was, from the wrong side, a gold digging whore from the wrong side of the tracks who went to juvenile delinquent school and was a drug addict. I'm like, oh, Foxcroft in Virginia and Cobham Hall in England, y'all might want to get pissed off at that one because that's not very good PR for your schools, particularly given I all of you all have hung me out to dry, and that's why women have no rights in this world. It doesn't matter if it's East or West, because particularly with Cobham Hall, it's all over the place. We've got Princess Antonia of Prussia, um, Lady Percy of Northumberland. Oh, there's a whole bunch of aristocracy there, but then you've got Vanita Gupta of India as well. Natasha Robertson Bridge, now that's her married name, in Portugal. So yeah, it's all over the place over there. So anyway, see, this is where it's like, George, this is another thing, like, Candace, if you're really into like the social climbing stuff and the whole British stuff, like, you really should also be listening to me and buddy with me, because what George Farmer and his father and all of these groups are doing are the motor behind the problems in the UK. And I'm trying to get, for me, it is important to get the royalty to wake up and smell the coffee and start doing their jobs, because, it was, I don't know who else will. I don't, the international community, oh my God, these people are as bad as those at the national level. They're supposed to be overseeing the national, they're in bed with them. I mean, in bed, like you can't imagine. So yeah, my only hope are the royals, a few royals. I just need a few royals. So, okay. So that's it for today.